Hello guys, welcome to another video. The Lament of an Immortal, Worlds Collide by Ch20. Chapter 20, The General's Decision, the New Life of the Herald of God. The clash of steel resounds with fervor. The battle had resumed and the rest of the goblins' riders were immersed in the battle. A dragon silhouette of an individual in the sky attacks Leora, the pilot of Elsa's Gerhalta. She was barely able to hold off the attack, but the unit had suffered considerable damage. Critical armor damage at 30%. Left arm plating compromise. Warning: critical armor damage at 45%, left leg plating compromised, was heard from the Gerhalta unit. Leora, status report, heard from Re over the communication system. The damage was only to the unit's armor, internal damage is nil, Leora pointed out, in a calm manner. You, enemies of Tempest. You will fall before our troops, no matter how many or who you are, pointed out the same person, lashing out again at the Gerhalta unit. But before the impact a spear was thrown between the combat unit and the subject to avoid the impact. I will say it for the last time. Goblin riders, desist, was heard from one of the battalion leaders. General Gobta, to resume the battle was the order of Our Lady Testarossa, pointed out the subject. But at that moment another spear was thrown, impacting the subject, making him fall down. As far as I am concerned, Lord Benimaru is the leader of the Tempest troops, stated Gobta, and then took out an enchanted orb. Holding protocol, units in suspension mode, he ordered, and so the rest of the steel units stopped. Girls, desist from attacking the goblin riders, your units are deactivated, restated to the Babylon terminals, as they ceased hostilities momentarily. General, why are you doing this? Questioned an orc to his superior. Because this battle was always unfair, and if the fairest and noblest of us realized that, then, it is our duty to follow his orders, stated Gobta. But most of the troops agree with Lady Testarossa. It was an order from our Lord Rimuru to attack this world, pointed out the orc. These three only care about fighting and conflict. They are looking for a pretext for battle. If Lord Rimuru left Benimaru as leader of our troops, it was because he trusts his judgment. Besides, you overestimate our Lord. He is all-powerful, but he is still a person like us. He pointed as he walked towards where his troops were. Sir, they are all supporting those three. How do you plan to convince them otherwise? Questioned the orc. By blows if necessary, pointed out with a smile Gobta as he continued walking. The singing of birds could be heard through the window, a warm summer breeze could be felt in the room, a quietness hovered in the moment, delicate rays of light peeked through the curtain of the bedroom. Tuya, the heir of God, had woken up from a deep sleep. What's going on? Where am I? He asked himself as he cleared his vision. Soon a pleasant smell caught his attention. An exquisite fragrance reached his nose, a sweet and refreshing scent caught his attention. He turned to his side and saw how a beautiful girl with blonde hair was sleeping next to him, covered with only a delicate silk sheet and leaving beautiful and sculptural legs uncovered. What the hell? Who is she? Hild? Yumina? No, it's neither of them. What's going on? He thought to himself as he stood up startled from the bed, which made the mystery girl wake up. Good morning too. Did something happen? Was heard from the girl's mouth as she yawned and delicately carved her eyes with her right arm and with her left hand shyly covered her chest with the sheet. Seeing her like this quickly made Tuya's heart race. Triple A Azusa? He said, somewhat surprised. Tuya didn't understand. The last thing he remembered was being in battle against Rimuru. Suddenly the girl came up to him and gave him a sweet kiss on the lips and then lay down on his chest. He still did not understand the situation. But even so he could not deny that deep inside he was very much at ease. A shower of feelings invaded him at that moment, as if the times of loneliness had been extinguished and fate would have given him again a chance to be happy again. I see you looking a bit pensive. Is everything all right? Questioned the girl, turning her head and looking him in the eyes. Azusa. What's going on? How is this? Is this real? Tuya questioned incredulously. What are you talking about too? Are you feeling okay? Questioned the girl in a concerned manner. What is this? Tuya asked as he stood up and put on his pants. Is it some kind of dream? Are you all right too? Azusa said somewhat thoughtfully, but then made a somewhat mischievous gesture. I know what you're doing, but it won't work. We promised we'd go see how things are going. It's been a long time since we descended to the mortal world. Remember that today we promised to take the kids to meet Brunhild. We can't stay in bed all day. She answered him with a smile while she put on Tuya's shirt to cover her body. Children? Tuya questioned as the opening of a door could be heard. Good morning. Mom. Dad. Dad, was heard from a little blue-haired girl who entered the room carrying a baby. Daddy, she questioned again. As the little girl handed the baby to Azusa, the little girl turned to Tuya and approached him to hug him. Hi Daddy, good morning, said the girl in a very affectionate way. Seeing this act, Tuya's memory was triggered by remembering his precious children that he had lost. A myriad of repressed feelings flowed into him, because remembering the past filled him with mixed emotions. Soon several tears fell. It was not for less, because this little girl was the spitting image of his precious mother. At the moment of realizing it, the girl turned to see her mother in a worried way. Mom, what's wrong with Daddy? Is he feeling well? We should take him to a doctor. Tuya just stroked the girl's head and asked her not to worry, apologized to Azusa and the girl and left the room. He put on a shirt, and as he walked down the hall and buttoned his shirt, he began to think. What is this? An illusion? But why does it feel so real? He kept thinking until in front of the hallway he ran into Seska. Good morning, Master. We already have breakfast served. Besides, your meeting with Grandma Toki's emissary was cancelled, so you will have these days off for your family vacation, Seska said in a polite manner. Leave that for a moment. Seska. Tempest. Where is Rimuru? Questioned Tuya while he was still trying to sort out his thoughts. Excuse me, I think Madame Azusa tired him so much tonight that he's not thinking clearly anymore, said Seska in a laughing manner. Seska, I'm not playing. Where is Tempest? Tuya pointed out worriedly. Sir, where else could she be? Seska replied as he looked out a window to see a huge sun being manifested in the firmament. Master, you know better than anyone that Lord Rimuru sacrificed himself to pay his penance and use his power to restore the universes he destroyed years ago. Though his consciousness and mind were lost, his power remained as a vestige in the sun of the divine realm, he said in a worried manner. What? Did I lose my memory? Questioned Tuya as Azusa came and hugged him from behind. Are you okay? What's wrong with you? You're worrying me a little. I think Moroha is overdoing it with your training, don't you think? You came in really sore yesterday and fell asleep playing with the kids, Azusa said worriedly. It's okay. I just don't know where my head is at. I haven't been concentrating much these days. Have I? Tuya pointed out. For some reason he started to remember what he experienced after the battle against Rimuru. Well, let's go to breakfast. The kids are excited to go on vacation. Azusa answered him with a little kiss on his cheek. Mistress Azusa, don't hold back. They can be more picky in front of me. Don't hold back your decencies, pointed out Seska. Soon, Tuya began to question if what he was experiencing was something real or was it just his imagination that was making him paranoid. It was something strange for him, but at the same time it was something common. A huge doubt was forming in him, but little by little he was letting himself be carried away by this fantasy life he was living. The Herald of God had obtained an immortal couple like him, so even his children would also possess divine attributes that would allow them to have eternal life like their father. He could feel it. This time he would no longer be alone in eternity. Destiny was giving him a second chance to be happy again. The hours passed and the couple and the two children arrived in Brunhild. They walked around the town visiting the businesses that were on the main avenue. They went to several places to have fun. Entertainment centers, plays, restaurants, and even sporting events, as well as an amusement park. They spent the whole day together until they arrived in front of an ice cream shop, but the baby was a little restless. I have to change Satoru's diaper. Go ahead with Suzuri to buy the ice cream, Azusa pointed out as she took the baby to the dresser. Dad, is it true that you created the ice cream? Questioned the little girl to Tuya. You could say that in this world, yes, Tuya pointed out with a smile. Little by little Tuya could feel something inside him. Even though he had doubts about the reality of what he was living, he was letting himself be carried away by the situation. At last, he was putting aside the days of loneliness to accept the opportunity to be happy again. They spent more time as a family and continued walking around the city. This took them to the Knights' practice field, a busy place where the Knights were having an exhibition of their training. You could hear the Knights practicing with each other, as well as some spectators supporting them as if it were some sort of tournament. Several visitors were beginning to sing songs of cheering and encouragement. Dad, what is this place? Little Suzuri questioned. It's the Knights' field. This is where the Knights of the Duchy practice their techniques, besides doing exhibitions for everyone present. Els, Hild and Ye spent half the day practicing, Tuya stated, but as he realized what he said his face changed. Inside he began to feel an uneasiness. He became immersed in his new life. He had forgotten for a moment his former wives. Els, Hild and Ye. Who are they, Dad? A gentleman? Questioned the girl. Tuya suddenly turned to look at Azusa, but she had only averted her gaze. Suzuri. Tuya spoke, but suddenly dark clouds began to cover the sun as if a bad omen. The darkness of the night had suddenly fallen on the city. What's going on? Tuya questioned, trying to hold his daughter's hand so she wouldn't get lost. Soon all the people who were present appeared lying on the ground, with wounds on their chests as well as face and arms. Cutting wounds. What's going on? Tuya pointed out as he covered the girl's eyes. He turned to look into the mountain of corpses. You killed us, was heard from the silhouettes of two girls standing on top of the pile of bodies. Two silhouettes I could recognize anywhere. It can't be, Tuya said in shock at the sight of the attackers. Die, damn you, was heard, followed by a loud bang that hit him in the side, knocking the girl loose and sending him crashing into the wall of the building. Must be a fucking nightmare, Tuya pointed out, quickly getting up, but suddenly, lightning struck him. That's why you killed us. Why were we a nightmare to you? Was heard from the small attacker who had thrown the lightning. Who are you? Tuya shouted, trying to face the attackers. Right, after you got married again you don't recognize us anymore. I guess that's why you gave up on us. Was heard behind Tuya. It was the figure that was slowly beginning to make itself out through the sparse rays of moonlight. The girl he had met long ago, a girl born in a noble's cradle, the daughter of the nation neighboring Brunhild, Tuya's first wife. You Mina? Tuya said in shock and frightened. No wonder, his 9 fallen wives were in front of him. Soon a demonic aura could be felt among them all. All 9 of them had been covered by a dark aura, as their skin tone lost color and their eyes changed to a blood-red color. This is a fucking joke, Tuya pointed out. Daddy, help me, was heard from the girl, but quickly a silhouette grabbed the girl's head and started to press down on her. Tesori, Tuya shouted, throwing himself towards the attacker, but was stopped by a girl's singing. Sakura had intoned a song which momentarily paralyzed Tuya. Daddy, help me, cried the little girl in terror and anguish. It was when Els, the force magic wielder, pressed the little girl's head to the degree of shattering her skull. And before his eyes, his precious daughter had been assassinated. Soon pain, anguish and anger flooded the heart of the Herald of God. Tuya shouted in fury and helplessness, unable to get up. Then Hild, Ye and Lucia took their weapons and plunged them into Tuya in his legs and arms, pinning him to the ground face down. Why are they doing this? Tuya pointed out in tears and heartbroken. Why? You did this to yourself, said Lean with the little boy in his arms. You will never have a day of peace again. Tuya, your destiny is to stay alone for the rest of eternity. You have no right to find happiness. Ever? Pointed out Linz as she and Yumina subdued a tired Azusa who was on her knees mourning the loss of her daughter. Tuya, what's going on? Why did this happen to us? He was saying in tears as Yumina and Linz held his arms and neck from both sides. Enough, Tuya shouted, trying to break free. Soon, Lean threw the baby in front of Tuya, and as it fell he used water magic and several cuts manifested, separating the baby's limbs as well as decapitating it before falling to the ground. Tuya's despair was evident. The pain and anguish was increasing. Watching his children die at the hands of his former wives is killing him inside. His heart was beginning to fill with anger and darkness. His breaking point was reaching its limit. Enough, Tuya roared, trying to get up, but at that moment Ye, Hild and Lu plunged their swords even deeper into his body. My children. My precious children. Azusa weakly cried with a face of terror and pain while still being subdued by Yumina and Linz. Tuya, do you know how to finish off the witches? Yumina questioned as she looked at Tuya with a grim smile on her face. Stop. I implore you, Tuya pleaded with tears streaming down his face, as the 9 of them gathered where Azusa was. Burning them alive, said the 9 in unison. As the 9 concentrated the aura that enveloped them, suddenly black flames began to burn Azusa. Aarghh, cried Azusa in pain and agony, while the 9 laughed in a Machiavellian manner. Pain, anguish and despair were bending the Herald of God as he witnessed everything. NNO, he cried out in pain. Suddenly the flames had dissipated, revealing Azusa's charred body. The same time the girl's weapons vanished by a beam of light. Tuya wasted no time and rushed to her aid, but it was too late. Azusa, the immortal witch, had been killed. He could not believe it, but at the same time he could sense it. Those weapons they used on him were divine weapons. They used divine weapons to kill the family of gods. Suddenly, a flame erupted again in the bodies of his 9 wives. Soon those flames merged into one and soon began to form a huge dark dragon that was about to attack Tuya. But a flame from the sky hit the dark dragon. "Stand up. This battle is not over yet," was heard coming from a red-haired girl in a maid's outfit, who had placed herself between Tuya and the dragon. Then a powerful blow from a huge sword was heard impacting the enemy. "You are the herald of God, you have to stand up and carry on. Only you two can save my lord from himself," was heard from a purple-haired girl in a secretary's uniform with a plunging neckline. "Wake up, this is an illusion. You have to wake up," was heard from a girl with long blonde hair who was helping to lift Tuya. He was shocked, although it was the first time he saw them. For a strange reason he could recognize those 3. They were the dragon girl and the careless elf who were named Azusa's pupils, the immortal witch's precious friends, Laika and Halkara, as well as the most powerful demon lord's disastrous secretary,